Hello and welcome to Remember the Hyphen. Our prime directives: to serve the public trust, deliver justice, and to review Robocop. This is my partner, Average Joe Squad. Dead or alive, you're coming with us.
What's up, everybody? I'm Average Joe Squad.
I can't twirl this like he can twirl the gun. I would literally...
I can actually do that with an airsoft pistol, but I'm not going in the closet to go get it.
Yeah, I actually have a Kamen Rider gun that I could actually twirl, but I don't think I could do it like he spins it that way and then spins it back. So yeah, this is one of my favorite movies. We're doing it for April because it's my birthday month, since he got to do a whole month of fucking Fantastic Four. Several shitty movies.
Why can't they just give me a good Fantastic Four movie?
It's coming, buddy. I'm pretty sure it's coming.
But
yeah, I remember I think I watched this movie when I was a lot younger than I should have, because I don't know if my mom knew what this movie was about, but I've pretty much loved it ever since I first watched it. I want to say I was a little bit older when I first watched it again, because I remember I watched it when I was younger and I didn't really get it. I just like the design of Robocop, like most kids. And I remember watching it again when I was old enough to kind of appreciate a lot of the filmography and such. But after I did, I really came to appreciate this movie. It's one of my favorite movies. One of my favorite franchises, honestly. I know people say 2 and 3 are bad. I actually really like 2. But unfortunately, I don't have them. I thought I did, but because I thought this DVD came with all of them. It only comes with 1. But I mean, to be fair, that's still pretty good, because this is like the best of the 3.
about to say, I only own this first one, and I only own it on VHS.
I just realized this is actually the same guy. The guy who directed this is actually the same guy who did Total Recall and
okay.
Basic Instinct.
Well, that makes sense because it's an Orion picture.
So I do have a lot to say about this film, but I kind of want you to go, since this is the first time you've ever seen it, and kind of just talk about it.
Kind of just to sum up, because if I can actually fucking coherently speak some English, but I think halfway through the movie I told you that, like, this was actually the first time I've ever seen this movie.
Yeah.
This is kind of one of those movies that, like, when I was a kid I heard about this movie.
Mm-hmm.
I never watched it. Like, I think one of my longest friends has actually seen all these.
Mm-hmm.
So if I were to call him up and be like, hey, I watched Robocop tonight, he'd probably have some stuff to say. But, like, again, this was one of those movies that kind of, like, when you're a kid you hear about stuff.
Yeah.
But you don't always watch it.
Yeah.
Conan was kind of the same thing with me. Like,
actually, that was
like
exactly
Predator.
the same thing with me.
Predator was the same way with me. Like, there was a lot of movies that, like, I heard about, or, like, I'd go in the rental store, and I'd see it sitting there, but, like, I wouldn't ever, like, rent it.
Which that cover is, like, one of the best. Like, that's actually the poster for the movie. That's like one of the coolest posters.
We were getting set to review this, and I was actually thrifting the one day, and I saw this sitting there, and I'm like, oh, hell yeah, actually, now I don't have to borrow a copy from him.
Honestly, I'm kind of jealous, because, like I don't...
That's kind of lame compared to this.
This is kind of lame compared to, like, the sweet poster, like him getting out of the car.
Yeah, like, let's actually hold these up real quick. Let's have this up. So. Yeah, overall, like, started watching it, and, like, I gotta say, I really enjoyed this. Like, I think I'm actually a little surprised, because I think I enjoyed this a little more than I thought I was going to.
Yeah.
Like, going into it, I thought I'm probably gonna get some enjoyment out of it.
Yeah.
I certainly got more enjoyment out of it than this. We were trying to watch this other shitty movie.
We're watching Crawl.
I'm gonna have to watch that some other time, because I just couldn't.
Yeah, I gotta be honest.
It
was kind of boring. I think I would enjoy that more if we were watching it just to make jokes.
Fucking riff on it.
Yeah, but trying to review it, I was just it was so dull, and the copy we had didn't help, because it.
Oh my god, my copy is not very good.
It's very quiet, because we have a VHS rip of it.
Yeah, so we threw this in, and like I said, I enjoyed this a lot more than I thought I was going to. Honestly, like this is a pretty solid film.
Yeah, I think a lot of the problem is, like, so many shows and, like, stuff have parodied it.
I think that was my issue. I had an idea of what it was going to be in my head, but it didn't, like, line up to what it actually was.
Yeah, to say nothing of the fact that, like, Robocop kind of... this is one of those movies, like, well, I like that it is a franchise. I don't think it was ever supposed to be. Like, especially with the way this movie ends, I don't think it was ever meant to be a franchise. I think they definitely made it so that if they wanted to make a sequel, they could, but I don't think they ever intended it to be a franchise. But yeah, so what were your feelings on a lot of the satire in this film? If I could kind of steer you to.
I definitely can kind of see like they were going for. Because I always think of 80s movies, like 80s cop films. You know, like, I think, like, the Deadpool or Lethal Weapon, you know, kind of movies that, like, are either, like, so over the fucking top.
Yeah.
Or they kind of show, like, the nitty-gritty, like, the corrupt side of stuff. You know, like, I honestly would probably lump this in with, like, Magnum Force, honestly.
Yeah.
In that it kind of just shows, like, the darker side of shit, you know, like you see the corruption, you see the nitty gritty, you see the violence.
You even see down to the fact that like the corporations that run the city are even working with crime in order to get like what they want.
Yeah, so like I can see where like a lot of the so-called like famous tropes of cop movies kind of showing that, or just like crime movies in general showing that. I can see where like there's a lot of this in it, but but like you were saying, I think it's a lot more satire of just like the shit in those movies.
Not just that, but like I think satire of like the 80s like decade of greed sort of thing, like because you know like when we see Detroit, it's dirty, it's grisly, it's the downtown, it's like the broken down steel mills and the crack dens and like the speed, like you see like these poor people just trying to get by, and then you have OCP and everything's clean and sleek and modern. Like you can tell like just by that like how much OCP has rotted Detroit out because they want to make a new city called Delta City over the old Detroit. Like they want to just, but like crime is what's standing in their way. You know that, you know, and like when you see the police station, the precinct that Robocop is in, like it's barely functioning. Like the women and the men have to be in the same locker room, like because they only have one locker room. They barely have enough like stuff to get by. They have to wear like SWAT fatigues while on like beat instead of just wearing that for special. Like it's like just from like the way it looks, you can see just what exactly this movie's about like the greed of the 80s and how it's to the point that the cops are owned by the corporations, which I think it's a little too still hits a little too close to home nowadays. You know, like we're basically the cops are just private security for the corporations. But more specifically about the satire, what'd you think of the commercials for the news we got?
My God, like it kind of reminded me, like we're coming just off of like watching WandaVision with the commercials like that. I think it's always interesting when a film will parody like commercials and stuff because it's such a relatable. A relatable form, you know. We see commercials every day. Hell, you listen to radio, you get goddamn commercials anymore. You go on YouTube, if you're not running an ad block like me, you get fucking commercials at the ass. Like, they're such an ingrained part of life anymore that I think, like, having them in here, like, after you get over the initial shock, it's almost like business as usual. Like, I'm watching a commercial in between the movie.
Like, my favorite is the Nukem, like, board game that's, like, talking about like
no more military aid. It's gonna be like my new saying around work when somebody makes me mad. No more fucking military aid.
I still haven't got relief from the Pakistanis marching on
my border.
I'm like, oh my God.
You didn't dismantle your nuclear armaments.
Like that, or like the fact that like you could get like a heart transplant for like a prosthetic heart, and like it's talking about commercial, like how like easy it is to just get that. You get a lifetime warranty. Who wants a lifetime warranty on their organ transplant? Probably the one that I think got me the most, and I think the one that got you the most was the car one for the SUX with the 8.2 miles per gallon.
I was like, what the fuck is this?
Which is kind of upsetting because I think my car is, I think it's 13 mile to the gallon.
Yeah, I'd love to have that much fucking mile to the gallon.
Yeah, but like that. I also love the news to kind of give you an idea of like the climate, like. How like there's a scene where like a bunch of people get killed because they're testing out like a satellite, which is a reference to the Star Wars program that Reagan was trying to set up.
Yeah, so it's kind of like a little bit of world building within the movie even.
Because because this movie I think was originally it was based around like because I think I've told you about this. You told me the car based around the Edsel specifically because it's kind of like a parody of like
the car. Ed 209 even has like
Ed in it. Like how the Ed 209 like he's only barely. It looks good, and it's supposed to like do a couple things.
Yeah, the Edsel is, for those who don't know, the Edsel is a failed car brand. It was an attempt by Ford. The guy currently in charge of the company right now is Edsel Ford.
Oh, really?
Yeah, his name is literally Edsel Ford.
Oof.
Which, fuck, he's doing something right because Ford's making a shit ton of money every year.
It's really better than GM.
Yeah, but, which hurts me as a Chevy fan. That hurts me. But, the Edsel was basically, they really hyped up the Edsel, you know?
Yeah.
And it bombed fucking hard. I mean, to the point, I think they only made him like 4 years.
Well, it was kind of funny because like when Dick Jones is talking to the guy who created Robocop, the Robocop program, he's like, of course I knew it didn't work, but I had a 25-year plan for parts and replacement. Like he didn't care it didn't work. He literally was just like, ship it out. We can replace parts. Basically it was a racket.
Yeah. It was a lemon, basically.
Yeah. Which is kind of funny because like I love the design of the Ed 209, where it's literally just a walking weapons platform. But like, and not only that, like like when it talks, it's like, put down your weapon. You have 20 seconds to comply. And then it also like roars like a lion. But then when it falls down the stairs because it can't do stairs, it starts like flipping out like a toddler. Kind of like this guy when he's at work.
I'm valid by doing that. I don't care what anybody says.
But yeah, like speaking of the Ed 209, what'd you think of like the effects in this, like the claymation specifically?
It's definitely a little dated, but like it doesn't. It's not terrible compared to some of the shit I've watched.
Because I think they do have some real effects in there. Like I think they have like some parts to like have the Ed, like when Robocop grapples with the Ed 209 at one point. I think those are real parts. Like they used to like puppet it.
Yeah.
But like they for the big shots of the whole thing they had to claymate it. It was kind of funny whenever Dick Jones sends like he brings the Ed 209 in and then he flicks the lights on because I'm like, oh, you gotta flick the lights on so it'll look good in the effect shot. But yeah, overall I like the look of the Ed 209, like just like like the big like it almost looks like a microphone for the face.
Yeah.
What do you think of Robocop's design overall?
I really like it. Like I said, I knew what he looked like.
Yeah.
Just because of just shit. Like I've seen pictures over the years. I've seen like gags and stuff, but like actually like seeing him in the movie, especially after you were telling me like the way the actor had to learn to like move, that's actually him moving and stuff.
Yeah.
It's really impressive, honestly. Like
yeah.
I think that design really holds up.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't look dated at all to me. It looks pretty damn good.
Honestly, I think we're getting to the point where RoboCop's cybernetics is almost kind of realistic in a sense. But what he's talking about is so there's a YouTuber I love. Well, he's not only a YouTuber, but he has his own website, SF Debris. He did a review for this movie, and he actually talked about a lot of the behind the scenes stuff. And one of my
there's a guy I watch. He did the same with Blade Runner, and I mean his Blade Runner video is like a fucking hour long.
Yeah. But basically, Paul Verhoeven actually, when he was creating, because he created the script for RoboCop. I actually have a couple of stories about RoboCop's design. But the first one I want to talk about is basically, when he designed him, he actually wanted him to be able to be a little bit more, I don't know if I should say acrobatic, but more able to move, agile. So he hired this guy, I want to say he actually taught the guy who was C-3PO how to, like,
Anthony Daniels, you mean?
Yeah, not the actor that played C-3PO, but like the guy who helped him. Yeah,
Anthony Daniels.
Oh, it is Anthony Daniels?
Yeah,
maybe it is Anthony Daniels.
The guy in the suit. That's actually Anthony Daniels.
Okay. But yeah, he actually he's done like a lot of like teaching people how to move like a robot, and so he came up with this plan, but they never showed him what the suit was like. So he came up with this plan about how he's going to be able to move real fast and react and all this. Well, as they were filming it, they realized Peter Weller couldn't really move in that suit because, like, if you look at it, it's clearly not built to like. It's like how the Batman '89 suit, like it's only built to like do so much clearance. Well, they brought the guy in because they were like, we're like a month behind schedule. There's no way we're gonna have to bring the guy in. He's gonna have to like retrain Weller. He looked at Weller in the suit, laughed his ass off. I was like, there ain't no way he's gonna be able to move like you guys wanted me to move. I'll create a new way for him to move so you guys can get on with doing. And so he created the way he moves in this, like the fact that like he moves his body before he moves his head, like almost like he has to recenter himself before, like with the camera.
Yeah.
Like it you know, the way he like he reaches for the gun and the way he like moves very slowly as if like his body has to like perfect the way he's moving and all that. Um, it's actually one of the reasons why one of the bigger reasons I don't like the reboot. Particularly the fact that if you've ever seen the picture of that Robocop, he has a human hand. So one of the reasons why he's the way he is notice that the only part of his face that, or the only part of him that you see the human is the face. It's very little of his face, you know, as if to say, you know, he's more machine now than man, to quote Star Wars. One of the things that happens to Murphy when he gets murdered, which you saw, you know, is one of his arms gets shot off. When they get his recover his corpse to make RoboCop, they're like, we managed to save one of his arms, and the guy that is making that, he's like, no, why don't I told you not to save the arm, you know, get rid of it. Can we get rid of it? Well, he's our product now. He's technically brain dead. We can do whatever we want with him. Get rid of the arm. Like, the whole point of that is to show how little OCP cared about Murphy. Murphy's just a part of RoboCop. Like, he's just parts. You know, they needed him to make a product. It's one of the things that frustrates me with the reboot, because they don't get that RoboCop is not a person to OCP. He is a machine, a product. Like, it's one of the things that pisses me off about the remake, because they do not get that RoboCop to OCP they do not care. Now, aside from the fact that they took this and like sleeked it down and made it look way too futuristic and stylized for my liking, because I love this RoboCop where like you can see the pistons and the parts, and you see how just bulky and built like a tank he is. Then I also love the whole like his gun is located in his actual leg, and then like the parts spring open, and like that was actually a really neat effect that they actually, I think they weren't sure it was actually going to work when they actually built it, but it works like a dream. So your thoughts on the design work?
Like I said, it's a design that like I've seen a lot of times in just passing and stuff, whether it be on TV or be on the internet. But I to kind of not really to echo kind of what you were saying, but like I really agree. Like I like the way it looks. I think it works. For me, it's like I haven't seen the reboot yet, but I'm kind of one of those people. I'm like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, I agree. The other problem is that movie is very much about like, because the politics and stuff that it parodies, while it is in its time, still feels kind of timeless. With the current movie, it's all about drone warfare, because it was made around the time, you know, like all those drone conspiracies were during Obama's like tenure.
Yeah.
So like like they really overemphasized the drone warfare thing, and I'm like, yeah, but like that kind of dates this movie like in a way that's not good, because it's too specific of a time period. If that makes any sense?
No, that makes a lot of sense.
Because, like, you know, even though this has the very 80s taste to it, like...
The core elements of the story are really...
Yeah.
You could... It's pretty relevant still.
Yeah, like, you know, like, in spite of being a man, like no matter how much machine and technology you put into a man, he's still a man. So let's go into maybe talking about some of the actors and cast. What did you think of the cast? Like, if you want to talk about any specifics.
I don't really have anything too specific, because I think most of the movie is definitely just on Murphy, and I feel like everybody else is kind of like, besides
Clarence Boddicker.
Yeah, besides Clarence, it's like everybody else is kind of background characters to me.
Fair.
I mean, like I liked his partner, but I liked all the acting in the movie as a whole. I feel like I don't feel like there was really a dead performance in the entire film.
I think we'll, just so I can start with talking about people, we'll start with Weller, since obviously he's probably the best thing about this movie, because like I think like this movie would have fallen apart if it were any other actor. I think Weller does such a great job of getting you really attached to Murphy, despite the fact you're only going to know him for about 5 minutes. But I really love how much he can play both an unfeeling robotic machine and a man whose very identity was basically taken away from him, and now he has to struggle to try and find it again. And even then, he's no longer the man he once was, if that makes any sense. Like
yeah,
you know, I love the scene where like he's fiddling with the gun. He's talking about like how his son really likes this TV show called TJ Laser, which is obviously a parody of TJ Hooker. But what got me is the design of TJ Hooker is very similar to like Tokusatsu, which I actually have another story about RoboCop's design. So Peter Weller was actually, or not Peter Weller, Paul Verhoeven, the director, was actually because they were still in the design phase for what RoboCop was going to look like, and so they were on like a business meeting in Japan, and he was flipping around TV, and he clicked onto a children's TV show that like came on, and it was the Tokusatsu series Space Sheriff Gavin, which is one of the first Metal Hero shows, and you know I'll look him up so I can give you guys an idea what. And so basically, like, they loved the look of that design so much that they actually used it as the basis for designing RoboCop. Which is funny because due to how popular RoboCop is over here and Japan, which, of course, obviously Japan would love RoboCop, they actually made another one called Mobocop Giban, who actually looks who is basically a Japanese RoboCop. Like, even to the point where, like, he's a cyborg that they rebuilt to help fight, like, these cybernetic terrorists. But, yeah. You can see the simulators.
Yeah, I can...
Yeah, this is, I don't know if you can see too well, but that's, Space Sheriff Gavin. Which, like, yeah. I think I'll look up Mobocop Giban while I'm talking, but, like, I love that like that little scene I think a lot of the little scenes you get of just seeing how Murphy, you know, because poor Murphy, he was just some guy from the county that they brought in because OGP's trying to get someone to like use for the RoboCop project.
OGP's got the
OCP.
OGP's got the RoboCop project now, huh?
OCP. Shit.
Same thing.
So, you know, online grocery pickup is the future of law enforcement.
Coming into your house now.
I just had that on the brain, I guess.
To be fair, I almost made the joke a couple times.
But you just give you an idea that that is so
Japan. What am I supposed to be taking from this?
Yeah, that's so blatantly RoboCop. But yeah, your thoughts on Weller?
Like I said, it's a good performance. Really plays to the movie. I enjoy it.
I just love how he does all the stereotypical cop lines.
Yeah,
they work really well.
He looks like a cop.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Dead or alive, you're coming with me. Your move, creep.
Yeah, it's just like I said. He really plays like comes off as like a cop. You know what I imagine a cop in the '80s to look like.
I honestly believe that he would shoot me in the dick if to apprehend a perp.
Yeah.
I love that. I love showing people that scene where RoboCop shoots a dude in the dick. Like that's like one of my favorite scenes in this movie. The other one being where he just keeps throwing Clarence through windows because he's
while reading him his Miranda rights.
That shit was great. I actually what do you think of RoboCop as a cop? If we're gonna, because like
if he was patrolling my city, I'd feel pretty safe.
Yeah, because like. It's great. I give them credit for giving him like those prime directives, kind of like the law of robotics.
Yeah.
You know, which is like to serve the public trust, to uphold the law. Or no, uphold the law. I always forget what the second prime directive is, but it's like. What is there?
Right hand side.
Yeah, serve the public trust, uphold the law, and protect the innocent. Which is funny because in RoboCop 2, in order to make him worse, they actually gave him over 280 different like directives to like. One of which is like to like just spout all this like shit that like kids to like because like they were making a parody of like how a lot of people like had their kids come to see this movie despite the fact it's rated R. And like so like they made it so like he would have to say things like make sure to brush your teeth twice a day, always look both ways before crossing the street. I actually think that was really funny because like it talked about like how like oh you know we got to worry about the children. Not that I'm, like, a dick like that, but, like, you know, the whole idea that, like, sometimes we worry way too much.
Yeah. Or more like parents don't actually, like, do their fucking research when they take a kid to see a movie. Because they just want to take the kid to the movie to have them shut up for a couple hours.
Well, you know, that or, like, they're at the you know, the video rental store. You see this, and, like, you don't really, you know, you're like, oh, it's, you know, about, like a kid's film about this robotic cop. Despite the fact, if you look on the back, it has Clarence, like, all cut up from him throwing him around in the glass.
It's got a big-ass rated R on it.
Big-ass rated R.
I remember that was a big thing when Logan came out. The fact that our local movie theater actually had to put a sign up at every register saying, Logan is rated R. Yeah. If you come and complain, we are not refunding you.
Yeah.
Know what you're taking your kid into.
It was the same thing with Deadpool, too.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I think...
Which they put up because somebody had to have done it once.
Yeah, actually, I remember it was the same with Watchmen as well. Because I remember I didn't go see Watchmen in the theater because I was like, I don't know what this is. Because that was before I even really knew Watchmen very well. But like...
I remember watching Watchmen on TV on HBO in probably like 2009?
Yeah.
Somewhere around 2009.
Actually, it was 2009 because I remember getting the DVD for it my junior year, which was 2010. But... Like I actually like that like that they came up with the whole idea that like he has these rules that'll make it so that like while he is a human cop he technically can't like he can't like go crazy because like he comes across a gangbanger or like a rapist like he does here like and just brutalize them. He within his his programming cannot like just shoot somebody for no reason. They have to be armed and they have to be firing at him. Like, the fact that, like, he could, like, shoot between that lady's legs to shoot the guy in the dick. He that's something he... I actually really love that scene where, like, they try to make it seem like, oh, he's unfeeling and uncaring, but, like, that poor woman's, like, holding him, like, crying. He's like, Madam, you have suffered a traumatic event. I will notify a rape crisis counselor. I'm like, I know they're trying to make it seem like, oh, he's not, like...
No, like I told you, I'm like, that's how you should do.
No, I
should do it.
No, I'm like, at least he actually, like, was like, I'm going to notify someone to get you some help. He didn't just leave her there.
Yeah.
Like, I almost wish he would have been like, ma'am, I am not, in fact, programmed to actually be a licensed therapist, but I can get you one. I actually do like, Louise, his partner. She gets a little bit more in RoboCop 2. I won't say anything about RoboCop 3 because I do want us to, but like here I will admit she's kind of odd because like they show her to be like this ass kicking cop and then like she gets taken down by some dude because she wants to look at his dick because he was peeing when she caught him. I'm like, seriously. Like,
yeah, I think I even said, I'm like, that was kind of fucking stupid.
Yeah, okay. It really was because I'm like, because like the precinct that like it's a unisex bathroom. You tell me you don't see good cock every time you go into that bathroom?
Jesus Christ!
I'm just saying. If I were to really complain about anything about this film, it's mostly just if you get, depending on the cut you get of it, you might get some like lame censorship. Like we watched my DVD copy, and I actually think a couple scenes were edited shorter. Specifically the one where the guy who created RoboCop, I forget his full name, but it's Bob something or other. When Clarence is sent to kill him, there's this scene where like after he gets his legs all shut, like Clarence shoots his legs off, he leaves a grenade, which I love that grenade because it has like a timer on it, which I'm like, that seems a little like counterintuitive to the whole point of a grenade, but like he scrambles for the grenade and it's supposed to fall off the table and he's supposed to like scream in agony because he realizes he's gonna die, and then the house blows up. They oddly cut that a bit. The other is when I think
maybe it's a TV cut. You know what I mean?
I mean, I don't know because like the rest of it had pretty much what I remember the level of violence, but I could be wrong. And you do bring up a fair point. Because I know for a fact they don't show the part where Clarence shoots Murphy's hand off.
Like I said, it could be a TV cut.
Yeah.
Because like I recently watched Saving Private Ryan on History Channel, and holy, like I started watching it right because I've seen that movie numerous times on tape, and I'm like, okay, it's on History Channel. It's like 12 o'clock at night. There is no fucking way I'm gonna get the whole. I watched the opening, which is Normandy Beach, and I'm like, holy shit, this is actually the uncut version.
I mean, fair.
But then I'm like, later on watching it, and like, they cut some cuss words out, or like, there's a couple points where like people are getting shot point blank. They cut them like real quick, and I'm just like, so you guys cut this, but the scene in the intro where the dude's laying on the beach with his guts hanging out and he's crying for his mom, like that's left in, and I gotta like,
Yeah.
TV edits are weird.
Fair. The other was like they clearly cut out the part where RoboCop kills Bodegar with a spike through his jugular. Like you do see him stab him through the throat. I remember seeing that. So I almost wonder if this is like a weird cut. I don't know. I almost wanted us to pop this in and see with those shots, but
we can pull up before you leave. We'll pull up moviecensorship.com because that's my go-to site for different cuts.
That's fair.
That is my go-to fucking site. If you have never gone to that website, pop it in on Google. Moviecensorship.com. I found it back in high school because it had side-by-side comparison shots for every edit done on Batman Beyond: Return of the Joker.
Yeah.
Love that website.
Fair. Speaking of editing, I talked with you a little bit before about this, but this movie actually almost like was one of the first movies to get an NC-17 because, man, they had to reshoot specifically the part where Murphy gets gunned down. They had to reshoot and reshoot and reshoot that until they were given an R, because what you thought that scene was brutal when we watched it. I've seen the uncut. Like, it's amazing he didn't just like have no head by the time they were done filling him full of lead. Like that scene had to be reshot so many times in order for them to get that to R. The other one I know that's really heavily edited is the scene where the Ed 209 guns that guy down in the OCP office. Because like I've actually seen a version where you can actually see like through him. Like, that is how much the Ed 209
maybe that was a work print. You ever think of
it? Might have been a work print. But I do know that like you can get like the unedited versions of that, like because like
it's probably on Blu-ray right
actually
now.
I wonder if this has special features. No, it just has the original theatrical trailer.
That's why I'm like I wonder what because I know there's a Blu-ray set for all three. I'm wondering what the Blu-ray set might have on it, because the Blu-ray set's always like chock full of bonus features and stuff like that.
Read the Dell book? What the hell? There's like a little sign that says "Read the Dell book." Well, I also, what's really funny is I love getting people who are big fans of that 70s show to watch the movie, since Red is the guy that played.
Oh, he hadn't said anything, and I'm just like looking at him. I'm like, oh hey, it's Red Foreman.
Yeah, like, because man, the way he acts in this movie is amazing.
Remember when he's spilling like everything, and I just looked at you and I was like, dumbass.
Yeah. My favorite is it's one of my favorite lines is when he goes to kill Bob, and he wants the hooker. I don't know if they're hookers, but like
bitches leave.
Bitches leave. I'm like I wish he actually said that on that 70s show a couple of times. It would have been
goes in
hilarious.
The basement. Bitches leave.
Another one of my favorites is when they show like them building RoboCop, and you can see like he's seeing like as they're turning him on to like install stuff, and like I love the part where the guy, because I believe the guy that plays him is Miguel Ferrer. He goes up to RoboCop and he goes, "You're gonna be a bad motherfucker." I just say that to myself occasionally in the mirror when I gotta psych myself up. All right, Adam, you're gonna be a bad motherfucker. The only other use of motherfucker in this franchise that's amazing is in RoboCop 2. There's a kid who works for these drug dealers, and RoboCop puts a gun on it, but he's programmed to not shoot kids. And the kid looks him in the eyes and I think shoots him. He goes, "Can't shoot a kid, can you, motherfucker?" It's like one of my favorite. like I'm like, damn. To be fair, in 2, it's kind of implied he can't shoot the kid more because he looks like his son. It's not his son, obviously, but speaking of, what was your feelings when we got to the scene where Murphy goes through his old house? Like,
I was like, damn, I wasn't expecting these feels from this movie.
Yeah, because I think one of the things that because everyone's always like, oh, it's just a movie where like they're doing parodies of like cop movies and they're parodying. Like,
no, there's an emotional story
there's
throughout a lot of this.
I actually really love that scene where he's going through the house and he's going to like these different places and he sees the memories, but he's seeing them through Murphy's eyes. Like when he finds the burnt picture of him and his wife and son like for Halloween. Well, that kid is lame because his Halloween costume is a devil. Even this kid looks like he's like way older than what they want to portray him as. I think he's supposed to be like 10, but
yeah, he
looks like he's 13. I'm like, you're 13 and you wear a generic devil costume?
Kid got no imagination.
Well, especially because it's kids in the TJ Laser. I'm like, why aren't you dressed up like your favorite like cop hero?
Shit, man! I want to say when I was 13, I want to say I went as Green Lantern. Like,
yeah,
shit.
But I just love like when he's going to the house and you see his wife, like especially because that scene fills in the gaps when he's seeing his life flash before his eyes. Like you see him like talking to his son about like as he's watching TJ Laser. They finish the scene where like he sees his wife in the bathrobe in their house, and she's like, at first you're like, she's like, I have something I have to tell you, and you're like, oh man, is his wife like gonna leave him or something? And then he goes, I love you, and I'm like, just punch me in the balls. I'd cry less if you did that. But yeah, like I love that. I actually love how just unbelievably evil Dick Jones is, to the point where like they clearly called him Dick Jones just so they can get away with everyone calling him Dick. Like
Richard.
Right? Like, no, I like Dick is like so like just unbelievably muhaha evil. Like it's no wonder he's the main. Yeah. Like, yeah. Also, what'd you think of the theme song for RoboCop? That dun, 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 dun.
Well, like the music was really good. On
Yeah.
it was a pretty good score.
Like I actually love the leitmotif of RoboCop. Like I can't remember who produced who did it. Maybe I can see if like RoboCop designed by Rob Bottin. I wonder if it's had that score on it. I don't know. Oh yeah, Miguel Ferrer. I knew that was who that was. I was right. He's in there. So overall, it's obvious that I would recommend this movie to pretty much just anybody. Like, unless you're like really squeamish about violence, I think this is such a great film, not just for like as a film, but like for sci-fi in general, just because like I think it's really what developed the idea of like cyborgs, or like the idea of like ghosts in the machine kind of thing. Like Ghost, I feel like Ghost in the Shell was inspired by this. Like, the ideas of like dystopian futures and like the I think cyberpunk. Like this and like Terminator. I think really kind of developed
Blade Runner.
Oh, Blade Runner. Developed the cyberpunk idea. This movie is just such a great film, and I think it's a lot deeper than I think a lot of people give it credit for. I know I'm probably preaching to the choir when I say I recommend this film, but like even if before going into our ratings, I'm just gonna outright say it. I think this is a 10 out of 10 film. I think the soundtrack is great, the action's great, the story of a man who's just trying to recover his own memory. The idea of what makes a person a person. The dangers of letting the corporation run just everything. It really sets up this amazing, wonderful story, and I can't get enough when I watch it. So I if you haven't watched it yet, I recommend watching it. It's easy to find. You can probably get it for cheap too. But like I just would recommend watching it.
I'm actually gonna agree with you. I'm gonna give it a 10 out of 10, which I know is like a rare fucking rating that I give out. Like I really enjoyed it. Like I said, a lot more than I thought I was going to, and I kind of am kicking myself for putting off like watching this for so long. Honestly.
Yeah. No, I think it's also probably why I love Dredd so much, because it reminds me a lot of this movie.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, that's because Dredd basically kind of has the same plot elements of being like a dystopian future, but Dredd's a little bit worse than Detroit. I'm still mad that they never made that RoboCop statue for Detroit. See, Detroit's like, nah. Like, what do you got to lose? We gotta wait until we actually get RoboCop?
I guess.
I suppose so. But I am sorry we aren't going to be doing all of them this year. Maybe later on down the line this year we'll look at the awful remake, but
we made a special trip to Big Lots the one day to buy that, because remember it was there.
Like, not even Michael Keaton being in that movie is going to make me worth watching that film. Because I know people who are like, yeah, no, dude, Michael Keaton's in it. You gotta watch it. I'm like,
just because Michael fucking Keaton's in it
don't
don't
mean
mean
it's
shit.
shit.
I don't want to watch Mr. Mom either.
Yeah, just because I love Michael Keaton don't mean I want to watch Mr. Mom.
Hell, I've never even fucking seen Beetlejuice, for the love of God.
Or Earth Girls are... No, that's Jeff Goldblum. Is Earth Girls Are Easy, but bottom line, go watch it. I do hope
Jack Frost.
as someone who actually has seen that film,
I saw that movie a long ass time ago on Lifetime, I think, or like ABC Family.
it's not good. It's not good. But yeah. Anyway, guys, hopefully we will get to see that. Maybe someday we'll look at the TV show because I think it's only like a handful of episodes. Probably doubtful though because I don't even know if that's
like
out of
publicly available.
Like I think it's out of print because who wants to watch it?
It's probably on archive.org then.
And no, we're not going to watch the fucking cartoon. Like, I'm not going to watch basically an Inspector Gadget parody, which is literally what it is.
It's like Conan. What's the fucking point of me watching Conan if he ain't fucking, like, killing people?
Yeah. But I do plan on us having to watch the other ones just because I kind of want to show you just, like, what happens when this franchise goes downhill as much as I love this franchise. But anyway, guys, I think that's going to wrap it up for this episode. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And as always, we hope you follow your fourth directive to
remember the Hyphen.
And take care. We're going to have to turn it off because I can't move.